Bless the Lord, O my soul, blessed art thou, Lord.
I've covered a lot of cases of people practicing the occult, worshiping the devil, and many other dark things with you for the past 2 years, and I always shared clips of priests with you afterward. For example, just like this one, and I like it very much, it's a very good message shared by Father Luke Fletcher during one of his homilies.
God never gives up on anyone, right? God never gives up on anyone, nor should we. So anybody we meet, even if somebody's satanic, somebody's, completely working for the devil, we still love them. We pray for them and we hope for their conversion. How amazing, right?
Speaking of satanic, I have this one short clip of someone who said in one of his videos that he had apparently heard the call to worship Lilith. I'll share with you this short clip, and I'll then share the clip of Father Fletcher after this.
Now, you may know already that as a chaos magician, I really listen. I do my best to listen to the gods, what they're telling me, and where they want me to go. Following synchronicity has always been the cornerstone of my practice. And for the last several years, my practice has been very much dedicated to the Norse gods and to learning and understanding the runes. That has been an incredible experience, and it's something that has really changed my practice. But now I have heard the call, and I understand it's time for me to move on. That's not to say I won't be working with the runes anymore. Of course I will. I never let go of anything. I continue to work with all of the practices from all of these amazing teachers that I've had. But like I said, I've heard the call. It's time to make a change. Now, as you can see, my altar is now dedicated to the mother of demons, Lilith. Lilith is who is called to me.
And by the way, did you know that Lilith is also featured in the video game Diablo 4, so we can clearly see the work of the devil behind all of these, to try to bring as many people with him to hell.
Blessed Mother, save us.
And here's the clip of Father Fletcher that I was referring to earlier. Listen to this. It is one of my favorite clips of him, actually.
St. Paul was the persecutor of the early church. He had studied under this famous rabbi that we know about from other sources called Gamaliel. He was very zealous, and he was persecuting the church. And he was got papers from the high priest of the temple in Jerusalem, and he was traveling around, throwing people in jail. And he gets close to Damascus, and he has this encounter with the risen Jesus. So this is after Jesus is crucified and risen, ascended back to the Father. This is after all of that happened. Now he has this encounter with Jesus, who says to him, "Why are you persecuting me?" That's the first detail that's really interesting. St. Paul could have said, "Well, I'm not persecuting you. I'm persecuting your followers," which is true. He was persecuting the church. But Jesus so self-identified with his church, with his people, that if you're persecuting a Christian, you are persecuting Jesus himself. And this is a complete revolution for St. Paul. He's literally blinded by the light of the glorious Jesus. And for 3 days, he was praying and fasting. And then on the third day, the Lord sent this other church member, Ananias, to pray over him. He receives his sight back, and he's baptized, and he becomes the great apostle, St. Paul. And just as he had worked hard to eliminate Christianity before his conversion, he worked twice as hard after to promote Christianity. And there are a couple of big takeaways. The first one that's most obvious is, are you ready? God never gives up on anyone, right? God never gives up on anyone, nor should we. So anybody we meet, even if somebody's satanic, somebody's, completely working for the devil, we still love them. We pray for them, and we hope for their conversion. How amazing, right? That's how love conquers. The love of God conquers. And so we never give up on anyone. And so the list can go on and on and on. Whoever, might be kind of, could I put it this way? Playing for the other team, like somehow under the devil's influence, or kind of working for evil, or giving themselves over to a life of sin, could become a great apostle. Now, to conclude, I'll share a story with you. The details of this story are going to be vague. So, when a priest hears confessions, what's said in there is absolute. We can't talk about it. But I will say that over the decades of being a priest, I've had many beautiful moments where somebody had, had quite a difficult time when they were younger, and then they have this beautiful grace of conversion. They come to the Lord seeking his mercy and forgiveness. And in those moments, I received a grace which I would love to share with you today. And it's this: we know that God is outside of space and time. God is in a completely different category than we're in. And so sometimes the things of God are hard to understand. If you ever have a moment when you think, I can't quite wrap my brain about this God stuff, good. If you think you completely, totally have it figured out, you're probably off, right? And so if God is all-knowing and all-powerful and all-loving, and he's outside of space and time, and he knows and sees everything, so that moment of great sin for a person, and later on in life, they go to confession, and they're on their knees crying and saying, Lord, I'm sorry, please forgive me. The Lord sees both of those moments at the same time. And what's even more amazing is that God already knows the version of us that will be in heavenly glory for eternity. For those of us who will be saved and make it to heaven, that version of you that will enter into God's glory for eternity, what you could truly call the best version of yourself, God already knows that version now. And so knowing that, he's allowing us to experience so much struggle and trial and grace here to help get us there, get us ready for that.
Well then, that will be all for the video this time. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. And hopefully all of you have learned so much from this video. And remember, if ever you have any feedback or suggestion, please let us know in the comments below. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contributions, and prayers. And until the next one, thanks again for watching, and may God bless you.